Hi, my name is Kevin Fernandez and welcome to my channel, Genie. Today we're going to be playing the dangerous historical game, the Oregon Trail. This 2 to 6 player game designed and published by Pressman Toys. Gather yourself and your wagon party as you go down the Oregon Trail. Multiple dangerous things await you, such as terrible diseases and dangerous animals. In the words of Mr. Seth MacFarlane, everything that isn't you wants to kill you. Will your wagon party survive and make it to the end of the trail? Or will you die of dysentery? Find out as we go to the table and learn to play the Oregon Trail. Form your wagon party by writing names of all the members of your party on the roster using the erasable marker. Place the start, Independence, and finish Willamette Valley cards on the table approximately 3 feet apart. These are approximately 3 feet apart. Divide cards into 3 decks: Supply, Trail, and Calamity. We're just going to move these off to the side and we'll call upon them when necessary. Shuffle each deck. Deal a specified number of supply cards to each player. If you're playing with a 6-player game, 3 cards is all you need. If it's a 5-player game, then you can deal 4 cards. And if it's a 2 to 4-player game, then 5 cards. We're going to be doing a 2-player game, so 5 supply cards are what we're going to use. Players should look at their own supply cards and then place them face down on the table. Like so. Players may look at their own supply cards at any time. Deal 5 trail cards face down to each player. Players should look at their own trail cards, place the remaining trail cards face down in a draw pile on the table. Do not deal out any calamity cards. Place all calamity cards face down in a separate draw pile. The remaining supply cards become the supply shop. The youngest player is the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper sorts the remaining cards by type. So you got food, medicine, which I showed you earlier, clothes, clean water, spare parts, and bullets. And places them face up on the table. They're off camera. The first player to die will take over the shopkeeper's duties. So if you die, you get to run a convenience store. And that completes the setup. The player born closest to Willamette Valley, Oregon, goes first by connecting any one trail card to the start card in play. Then passes to the left. Once the trailer has been started, players have 2 choices on their turns. They can either play a trail card that connects to the trail, like so, or play a supply card. Any trail card will connect to a fort, a town, start, or finish card. Players may use either end of a trail card to connect the trail by rotating the trail card. Players who have a trail card, including forts or towns, that connects to the trail must play it unless they're playing a supply card on that turn. If a trail card reads, press the space bar to continue, The player who played it must draw a calamity card and then follow the directions printed on the card. Only the player who drew the calamity card follows the instructions. Some calamity cards only affect the player who drew them, and others affect the entire wagon party. Some have immediate consequences, while others required specified supplies to remedy the calamity within a certain time frame. Calamity cards remain in play until they are remedied. So for example, this starvation card says, survive another day with one food card for 2 rounds of play without a food. If you go for 2 rounds without food, you die of starvation. When in doubt, follow the instructions printed on the calamity card. If the wagon breaks down or the oxen die, no one can play a trail card until the situation is remedied. Players who lose a supply card during play but do not have their own supply card to discard must choose another player's supply card to discard without looking at the face of the card and without discussing it to other players. So just a random supply card. If a player chooses to play a supply card, then their turn is over. No additional cards are drawn and play passes to the left. Players do not have to play supply cards to remedy the calamity. Actually, there may be many times when it is better strategy to let a player die than remedy the calamity. Hey, the trail is harsh. Players can only play one supply card on their turn, unless there are only 2 players left in the game. In that instant, players can play up to 2 supply cards on a single turn. When a calamity card is remedied, is removed from play, and the used supply card is put back into the supply shop, and play continues. If a player does not have an appropriate trail card or supply card to play, they must draw from the trail card draw pile, and their turn is then over. If there are no more trail cards in the draw pile, take the bottom 4 cards of each deck on the trail and shuffle them to form a new draw pile. The trail is constructed of a set of 5 trail cards. When the 5th card is played and connected to the trail, the cards must be stacked. Pick up the first trail card that is played in the set of 5 and place the other cards underneath it. The next trail card that is played must connect to the trail card on top of the previous set. Repeat this after every 5th trail card is played. At any time, players may trade supply cards in exchange for one supply card of their choice from the supply shop. The one player may trade into cards or 2 cards meet each other contributed 1 card. If 2 players contribute, they must then agree on who gets to keep the supply card. So basically, you can talk to your partners and you can trade in 2 cards to count as 1, but if you trade it in, you have to decide who gets the 1 new card. No trail card or supply card you can play? Then you have to draw, partner. When players die, they select up to 2 of their supply cards and will them to other players. Any remaining supply cards go to the supply shop. Dead players' trail cards are placed on the bottom of the trail card pile. So that's that thing with 5 cards on it. The first player to die takes over as the shopkeeper. When a player dies, the shopkeeper erases their name from the Wagon Party roster. And that looks like this. Then he flips it over and he writes their name on one of these little tombstones. And a short little message like, he died, but he died doing what he loved, petting snakes. It's then read aloud for others to mourn the loss of that player. The game ends when at least one player reaches the Willamette Valley by completing the 10th set of 5 cards, reaching the finish card. If this happens, everybody wins! Yay! More likely, the game ends when the last player dies. Well, that's all you need to know to play the Oregon Trail. If you have any questions about this game, please put it in the comments below, and I'll get to them as soon as I can. If you're a really big fan of this channel, and we appreciate it if you would help us out by being a Patreon supporter. One of the many things that you can do is you get early access to all of our how to play videos here on Gamers Genie. But if you can't afford, it starts as low as $5. If you can't really afford it, you're not really so sure about that, all you need to do to help support this channel is just tell your friends and family, tell people to subscribe and share this video and all the other videos on Gamers Genie. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Links to those in the description below, as well as the Patreon page. And be on the lookout for our upcoming gameplay video on the Oregon Trail. But until then, thanks for the views.